If you are a booth renter, you might actually be waiting on your landlord to send you a 1099, and actually, it's the other way around. You might need to send your landlord a 1099. So today we are going to, I'm going to break down why, if you are booth renting, why you might actually need to give your landlord a 1099 instead of waiting on them to send you one. My name is Jennifer Drew, and I am the founder and CEO of Hair CEO. We are a business advisory and tax firm helping self employed hair professionals and hair business owners run legitimate, profitable, and bankable businesses. And we do that through providing bookkeeping services, coaching, and tax services. So if this is your first time here, welcome. Today is day 28 of 90 with the 2026 tax talk. So let me break it down. So I think working with this industry, working with the hair industry, I've seen just about everything. And a lot of what I've seen is wrong. And there's no, judgment. Like I call this a no judgment zone because I feel like with this industry, people are just trying their best. And, for some of you, you've been doing hair since you were early teens. You found out you were really good at it and you've just been continuing it. And then you turned it into a business and you're learning as you go. So I just commend you for running a business, and I don't judge you because you may have been doing some things wrong, but I will tell you, I've seen a lot go wrong. And this is one of those things that I've seen go wrong is when you have booth renters who are working for, a barbershop or a hair salon, and maybe the arrangement is that they are paying you a percentage. Even with that, I pause because sometimes that's not even done correctly. And so they may be giving you a 1099. But then also, if you are booth renting and you're paying them money every month or every week, honestly, in this industry, you're paying on a weekly basis, then you actually might need to be giving them a 1099 as well. So, yeah, so let's talk about money flow for a second so this can click for you. Because a lot of times people think, right, like the landlord is supposed to give you the 1099. Like it's like I'm an independent contractor, so I'm waiting on my 1099. Not quite. Because independent contractor, especially in the hair industry, is like people get it wrong all the time. But essentially, I want you to think of yourself as a business owner, even though you might be a 1099 contractor. It's all about money flow. So think about it this way: credit cards, like your clients pay you via credit card, and the money flows from the credit card to you. And the credit card companies are giving you a 1099 K. But then if you work for or are inside of a barbershop or hair salon and you are paying rent to someone, then you are giving money to your landlord, and then that money is flowing from you to them. So you're the ones giving them a 1099 MISC. Now, in the event that your landlord is also paying you as a independent contractor, even though you're paying them rent, I'm telling you, when I tell you I've seen it all, I've seen it all. So then your landlord might be giving you a percent of what comes into the barbershop or the hair salon, right? So then you have money flowing from here back up here. And then when that happens, you have another 1099. Then you have the 1099 NEC. So you see, there's a lot of flow of money going on. And so who gives who money all depends on who's getting what 1099 form. So today we're talking about this form right here, the 1099 miscellaneous. That's the one we're talking about today. Because if you are paying someone rent, a lot of times that's going to be one of your largest, if not the largest expense that you have for your business. So I want to show you how to protect that deduction. Because when it comes to deductions, it's all about documentation. You have receipts for when you buy things, right? Well, you need some type of documentation about where, like, how have you been documenting what you've been paying in rent? And for the IRS, if you are paying a person and not a corporation like a big franchise or suite or something like that, like if you're not paying like a Sola or a Phoenix, let's say, you just rent from Bay and Chris, at the barbershop, or, you are, renting from Tina at the salon, then you technically need to give them this 1099 miscellaneous for 2025. If you had booth rent in 2025, then you were supposed to give them this form if you paid them more than $600. So I'm pretty sure if that was their situation, you paid them more than $600, and so that would be that form. So the form is the documentation that the IRS is looking for you to submit to them and to your landlord, which documents how much money you have given them. And when you submit this to the IRS is like, okay, we know you have paid out this. So they're going to be expecting that on your tax return. And then also, they're going to be expecting your landlord to show that they made that money too. And so that's why you file this 1099 miscellaneous form. Now, if you're working with an accounting firm, they can help you with filing that form, or you can do it yourself with, filing agencies. You can go directly on the IRS's website and look up how to file that form. But you might be, saying to me right now, like, Jennifer, the form being filed is not the problem. The problem is, how do I get my landlord to give me the information to give them that 1099, miscellaneous form? Because you have to get from them what's called a W-9. A W-9 is a form that your landlord fills out so that you can give them this form that states how much money you've given them. And again, I've seen it all in this industry, right? A lot of these barber shop owners, these hair salon owners, they are not trying to give you any information with their social security number or their EIN, because they don't want the money reported to them. That money is probably going right in their pocket, and they are not claiming that money, right? I mean, not all of us can be the CEOs that are striving to be here at a hair CEO. And we still work with people who are trying to do things under the table when we ourselves are trying to elevate. So anyway, if that happens, few things that you can do. The first thing you can do is blame it on the IRS. Say, hey, the IRS requires me to submit this form. So I'm going to, can you fill this out for me? You're probably laughing like, yeah, that's not going to work. Okay. If you can't blame the IRS, blame your professional. Like, I tell my clients, hey, tell your landlord that your accountant said, hey, I've paid you X amount of money. My accountant told me to give you this piece of paper. Can you fill it out? Act like you don't even know what it is, right? Just say, hey, I'm just doing what my accountant told me to do. I don't know what she wanted to do with it, but she told me that I had to do it. Otherwise, I'm gonna get in trouble with the IRS, and I don't want no smoke with the IRS. So can you just fill this out? It's worked. I'm telling you, blame your professional. So you can blame your tax professional. But let's say that's not working. Jennifer, it's just not working. They still are not giving me this W-9 because they don't want nobody to know. Okay. Well, the IRS will allow you to file this form, and where it says their social security number or their EIN, you can put refused. Yes, you can still submit that and say refused. And that lets the IRS know that you have done your due diligence. Now, what I will say is, because you want to make sure you're protecting yourself, you want to have something written. So you want to send them an email. And again, I already know who I'm talking to. I know my crowd. Text something very professional. If you're not the email type and you've never sent, you don't even have your landlord's email address, right? Like y'all, it's not even that formal. Send them a text, but make sure it's professional, and say, hey, FYI, or not FYI, because that's very informal. Hey, just a reminder, my accountant or the IRS is looking for this form. Can you please fill it out, when you get a chance? Just document that you've sent it and that they've received it. Because again, I'm trying to protect you, right? The person is trying to do it the right way. I'm not too worried about those salon and barbershop owners that's not trying to do the right thing. So you are covering yourself and letting the IRS know, like, hey, I'm doing everything that I'm trying to do to get you this form, but they refuse. So then you submit that to the IRS. The IRS is like, okay, thank you very much. Now you've protected your largest expense so that you can take that rent deduction and say, okay, I have documentation with it. So that's, a way that you could do it. And then, if you are in if you're in the process of looking for a new salon or barbershop to booth rent at, just make sure that you ask about this form before you sign up, because remember, you hold all of the leverage before you sign that paperwork or before you sign the agreement or shake the hand and say, yeah, I'll pay you, X amount every week. Use that as your leverage. Oh, okay, well, yeah, everything looks good. I talked to my tax professional, the numbers look good. The location is convenient. I just, my accountant said you need to, fill this out. And then once you agree to fill this out, I can sign the agreement. Who's going to argue with that? They want your money, right? They want you to rent that booth. And so now you have the leverage to make sure that you get what you need to run your business in a legitimate way. So that would be a strategy that I would say put into place in the event that you are looking for a new place to rent anyway. So yeah, so that's what I want you to consider. Now, if you are a self-employed hair professional or barbershop owner or hair salon owner, and you want to do things right going into 2026, definitely reach out to me. I'm going to leave the link in my description. We are working with a very limited number of clients this year for new tax returns. So if you're wanting to file 2025 or maybe even a prior year, I would say reserve your spot sooner than later so that you can make sure that we don't run out of spots. Again, I'm Jennifer Drew, and I help simplify profits and taxes for self-employed hair professionals and hair business owners. And I will see you tomorrow on day 29 of the 2026 Tax Talk. See you then.